Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft tutorial. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to build a cocoa bean farm, and I love this design. It is so slim and simple. This is it over here. So we have our jungle wood and our cocoa beans on all sides of the jungle wood, and above it a block of air, a dispenser facing downwards with a water bucket, a observer block also facing downwards, and then above it a repeater with 3 ticks. That is the farm right there. What you have to do is hook this thing up to some redstone, and specifically some redstone that will give it a 3 tick pulse. So over on this side we have this circuit. The redstone here is going to power the piston. It's also going to power the block, meaning the signal goes into this repeater and it will turn it into a 3 tick pulse. Let's see this thing in action. There goes the water, and you can see that it created a short water blade, meaning when the water hits the bottom, it doesn't spread out everywhere and it drops straight down and harvests all of your cocoa beans, which is just fantastic. So you've seen the basic idea for how this farm works, and when it comes to laying this thing out, I've got my own preferred design that I think is good, but there are a few things that you could consider, like how do you want to collect the items. You could have a water basin. You'd probably need one that's a little bit bigger than this, but you could push all the items to one location for you to pick up. You could also use hoppers like we got down here to automatically pick up the items. Now when it comes to the size of this farm, you could be limited to 6 blocks tall, because when you're standing at the bottom in survival mode you can place up to the 6th block at the top. But because this doesn't rely on pistons pushing the blocks in the middle to harvest, this thing can actually be as tall as you want. So you could have a second story that you walk onto and place down more cocoa beans, meaning the design is relatively flexible, which I really do like. Now when it comes to laying this thing out, what you've got to consider is that your pillar can have cocoa beans on 4 of its sides, and so the best way to lay out a shape like that is like so. And you have this layout where they kind of weave into each other a little bit, and that's the same layout that you see over there in the background, and we'll come to that a little bit later in the video. Now what you can't do with this design is tile it side by side like so. If you do this, the water is going to break, you're going to have all sorts of problems. So unfortunately you can't do this if you want a flat wall design. So at the bare minimum you'll need to space these out with 1 block between each of them, and if you just want them to be in a row you could have 2 blocks of space between them so you can plant the cocoa beans in between each side. With all that out of the way, we can now start the tutorial. You're going to need what you see in my hotbar plus a water bucket, and you'll need 6 of these logs in total. So above the logs we're going to have an air block, then the dispenser, the observer and the repeater. So when you're at that height where the repeater is, remove those 3 blocks. Go below, place a observer so it's facing downwards, and then go above, remove the block, place the repeater, put it on the 3rd setting, and then you can go down again, facing upwards. We're going to place the dispenser so that it faces downwards. And don't forget, you need to put a water bucket inside of the dispenser. So now I've gone ahead and repeated the design another 3 times, and we've got to wire up the top together. So this is pretty straightforward. You just want to link all of this together with redstone. So place some blocks, put the redstone on top of it, and then we're going to create that circuit that's going to give this thing the right signal. So you need a sticky piston facing upwards, a block above it, and blocks on either side like this. One of them will point out of that block with the repeater on the 3rd setting. The other one will just put a piece of redstone besides it, and then you want to power that somehow. So let's press the button and you can see the farm in action. So over here I've got 2 in a different layout, and this is going to break. You're probably going to figure out why it breaks as soon as we see it in action. So I'll press the button, out comes the water, and you can see that there is a bit of a problem here. Now when I say break, I mean it still does the same thing overall, but you get loads of water spreading out the bottom, which I'm going to guess is undesirable. Now the reason this happens is because 2 that are adjacent to each other fire at the same time. If we were to change this so that the wire ran in this direction and the repeaters in that direction, they wouldn't activate at the same time. So this time, this one here will activate first and that one second, and this is really important to avoid that problem. So now you see that the water is slightly lower than the other one. It means the 2 of them don't meet and they don't do that silly thing where they spread out everywhere. So what is in front of me right now? It is the most compact layout that you can have for this design. Everything in there is basically just cocoa beans and jungle wood. It's pretty fantastic, and you may have noticed it's changed slightly during the course of this video, I realized I got my wiring incorrect. So I redid this and came up with a layout that's actually kind of easier to look at and see what's going on. So the signal is going to start here, as we know, and when it goes off in this direction, it's going to branch off through repeaters. So this one will get activated, and this one will get activated after it's gone through this repeater, so there is a delay, and there's a delay to the next one, and the next one, and so on, and that means that the water never touches inside the farm, so this thing works perfectly, and I think this view here is probably the best view to see it in action. So let's press the button, off it goes, and look at all those cocoa beans getting harvested, and notice how we have no water problems whatsoever. That is pretty fantastic, but now of course what you've got to do is walk through the whole thing and pick it all up again. So if you're interested in building this design specifically, you might want to pause the video, take a screenshot. That is the layout for the redstone. If it looks complicated, trust me, it's not. Once you start building it, you'll see that the layout for this is pretty simple. Last of all, I'd like to say thank you to James Harvey, who sent me this tweet, which inspired me to use water to redesign the cocoa bean farm. So James, if you're watching, thank you for sharing your idea. It has turned into a wonderful contraption, as you've seen. And guess what? That's it from me this video. If you have enjoyed it, then leave a like, and you can find a world download in the description box. And down there, you can also find a link to the tutorials playlist. If you haven't had a look through that playlist, do that right now. There's loads of useful stuff in there. But anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.